Good evening, Melrose.
Hey, everybody.
I am Tom Catalini.
I'm Jen LeClaire.
I'm Sam Hammer.
And I'm Tom Shampoo.
And this is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose. And here we are. The gang is all back together. It's been a busy week, a busy day. Sam, what'd you do today?
I'm so glad you asked. So today was the Give a Jingle Day. So there's a group called Melrose Together. I say we're loosely formed type A neighbors who can't spend enough time together. And 100 Melrosians got together to donate over 150 meal kits to families in need throughout the area. So 70 of these meal kits, which a whole bunch of ingredients inside. There's a blanket and most of them went to housing families for 70 families that they serve. And then the other 70 or so went to Bread of Life for families who come for a warm meal on Friday on Christmas Day, and they're going to leave with another bag of food plus. So thanks to everybody who participated. It was really pretty great.
It's time for the news. And in today's local headlines, Melrose man tries to help those people in need, gets yelled at by Melrose police in the streets. What happened today?
I might add deservedly so.
I have not heard this at all, so I'm looking forward to this story.
It's all out of proportion. So listen, I'm not in the primary helper group, but I'd love to participate. I think I talked about that on the show, how I was skeptical about this. It's because it's easier to write a check or do something like that. But it was actually quite fun and rewarding to go down to Shaw's and fill out the kit and get a couple of things at CBS and all that. And so today was the day you bring down your bags. And I chose to park illegally in front of the temple to unload my bags. And the Melrose police politely asked me to, move it along. Because what happened was once the first guy does it, there were like 3 cars parked behind me. And so it's immediately out of control. So I think he was right to clear the streets. I was clogging up the way there, but we had a few laughs at it down there.
So I think that story is elevated a notch if you actually make the police blotter on Friday, Tom. That's going to be that's the place you want to end up. A Melrose local resident was forcibly removed from the temple parking lot.
I don't think we were quite at that level. I think he was just trying to keep the streets safe and clear.
He was, but I got to say too, people had been dropping stuff off all morning, and really easily and efficiently you could pull over right where you had, or you could pull around the corner to the other corner of the temple. It takes 2 minutes to unload those bags, but he happened to drive by in probably the only one moment where there were a bunch of cars and happened to be another couple cars trying to come down Foster and him as well. Only in that moment was there any sort of problem. But I also disagree with you that he asked you politely. I thought it
wasn't just one moment, because I was standing there yapping away. I didn't just unload and move along, go about my business. All the nice people were down there. I was yapping away and chit-chatting, and then there we go. But like I said, he was really just trying to keep the streets clear, which was something else we were going to talk about in this episode.
Yes, because for those who know, and like last time we did when there was no snow, there's a little path you could, a little way you can curve into the, oh my God, somebody used words, where you can drive in close to the temple, pull over, let people out, and then keep going. But that was totally full of snow.
Oh, you mean like a curb cutout thing?
Yes.
Like a little, I've used that a million times when my kids were at Temple Hebrew school. So we used to pull in there and pick them up when Hebrew school ended. So I know that spot very well.
Yeah. So if the snow wouldn't have been there, you would have been totally kosher in the curb.
I just want to make a quick mention. We shouldn't bury the lead for this story, which is that the community came together in a phenomenal way again. And it's a tremendous reminder of how much people care about where they live and who they live with. And so I was pleased to see the success of this. Thanks, Sam and Jen and my wife, Linda, and others as well. And for all the volunteers who came together to make sure that everything happened today. And for Temple Beth Shalom, for being a part of this. It's just a phenomenal reminder. Oh, there it is. Look at that great crew. Thank you all. It's just a reminder of what Melrose does when we want to come together and help each other. So thank you all for the work.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. But yeah, it's the folks at Housing Families were talking about the outpouring of support that's come from Melrose recently between this and the Thanksgiving Give a Gobble that we did and the kids food drive that's been ongoing throughout this whole thing is huge.
And then I heard the Honor Society was there later today.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, that's right. So the whole community's been doing stuff, and then the temple is doing a Christmas meal drive as well. So the need is really there. They also were giving us some. I thought what's the woman's name again, Sam? That kind of gave us the update.
Oh, Linda.
Linda was really great about making all the volunteers that were there unloading kind of really understand what we were doing and the impact. And she really wanted to understand wanted us to know what the group was doing too. So she was saying that before COVID, a year ago, they were serving somewhere around 85 families, and now it's up over 280. Wow. Since the pandemic. So the need is there, and Melrosians have stepped up to help. So it's very cool. It's very, and the need will continue to be there and growing.
Air horn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. That's gonna be ready to go.
Appropriate use of the air horn. Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. So, but there was a lot of chatter in town about the snowstorm, of course, and then the aftermath.
Yes.
What corners aren't cleared and what sidewalks aren't cleared and how are kids getting to school. And, we've had the ups and downs in my neighborhood here on that. We live right behind the Lincoln School. So it can get tight. But the thing I noticed that I thought was surprising was a couple of days after the storm, or maybe it was the next day, I went downtown to do a little shopping local. And there was even some places where you would cross Main Street that hadn't been cleared out. Like the crosswalk literally led into a snowbank and you'd have to go into an intersection. I can't reveal where I was going in case certain people are watching the show today. Right. On this crosswalk. And then
Frankie.
Yeah, right. Right. Frankie, I was going to the Waggery, but it was interesting watching on social media a little bit of griping and then sort of noticing it myself. I don't know what you guys saw around town or how you felt or what you heard on the snow clearing discussions around town this week.
I did see a lot of what you saw and kind of saw and heard the chatter. People definitely have strong feelings about how it should be done. And I know we were all talking the other day. There's a whole sort of trajectory of process, right? Like you start, with prepping for the storm. It's coming. This is New England, so we can watch. We know it's coming. I know DPW crews were working through the night, but there's this whole series of steps that in any one of those places, either something could go wrong, or there could be room for improvement, or there could be spots where we do a bang up job, right? But there's a whole series of things, so it can fall down in any one of those places. There's the snowplows are contracted. You do have to. Yes, you have to clear during the storm to kind of keep the roads clear for emergency vehicles. But like you said, there's the aftermath of like, what do you do the next day and the day after that when the sun is out now and you're looking at all these snow piles that have piled up where you want people to shop local still for this last home stretch week of Christmas shopping downtown, all that kind of stuff. So
right, and we especially talked about like on corners where it might be such a big mound that you can't actually, as a human, dig it out. And I think Tom Catalini made an excellent point about relying too heavily on the system of the people themselves. That we're supposed to be doing our own sidewalks. But
that is the rule in Melrose. So you're supposed to clear in front of your house and all that. But the way, if you live on a corner, it's tough. And there was this one guy incessantly tweeting his complaints about this all week. I forget what it was, but pointing out that, and kind of rightfully so, that it depends who lives there and what their circumstances are, if they're able to clear effectively in front of their house. And then, God forbid you live on a corner and you get these huge mounds.
Right. Yeah. So on my way back from the temple today, I was driving down Pleasant Street and ran into this debacle here. So finally, I could see so this is Pleasant and Everett, and you could see
looking
the bus
south toward Oak Grove, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a bus stop right there, and you can see that they're finally picking up the snow and moving it elsewhere. I don't know where. It looked like they were just going to put it right at Lincoln, but wherever it was going. But there is so there's a bus going by, and then a few minutes later, a Mack truck is coming towards us. But there's this woman you can see just standing in the middle of the road, walking very slowly in the street, and I can tell that the sidewalk is kind of cleared on to her right, but for some reason she felt that Pleasant Street and walking in the middle of the road was safer than walking on the sidewalk. So I just couldn't believe my eyes when I ran into this after we were just talking about Tom practically getting arrested. So I'm glad they're clearing up some spots. So that is good.
Yeah.
It is good, but when did it snow? Wasn't it a few days ago? What day? It's Tuesday now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Thursday, Wednesday night, Thursday morning.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost a week later. So that's the thing. So then I'm looking at the city council agenda last night, right? And they're getting 400 G's for this Complete Streets program, this grant. And so I look at that. I go, I wonder where, better plowing is on this list. So it's interesting. There's a massive agenda, a whole program that's been developed over years. It's been prioritized, a lot of public meetings. And so right now, this 400 grand is going over to the Horace Mann neighborhood. Guess what they're getting? By and large, a big bulk of it is sidewalks. So some people don't even have sidewalks. We're grousing about clearing the sidewalks. Some people don't even have sidewalks in Melrose.
I'd love to have a sidewalk that I couldn't clear.
I want to have that sidewalk that I'm not going to shovel.
So it's easy to snipe at these things, and I'll continue to do that.
You're so positive.
Why not?
Along with all the other, there's these guys if you hang around on Twitter, there's these guys on Twitter that are just sniping all the time, and you get caught up in it. But you have to look at the big picture in the Complete Streets program. We've got the Bike Ped Committee. We've got good folks, elected officials, and in the city are actually working on long-term things over a period of time that we've talked about this before. It's sort of hard to pay attention to. So we have to give them a break, but I think it really day to day, maybe we could step it up a little bit in certain areas. It would be nice.
So I don't know this for a fact, but I think it, and that is that it's probably the only item in the city's budget that you have no idea every year what's going to happen, right? It could snow. We had in 2015, we had 4-inch snowstorms in 4 weeks, one every Wednesday for 4 weeks. It snowed 24 inches. That was a year of 110 inches. So no one knows that's going to happen. And you wouldn't even expect it in the span of 4 weeks. So that year, the budget was obviously blown, right? So it's going to be really tricky and challenging to try and figure out how to manage that budget every single year. We're early in the season for a big storm like this. It's not typical to have something before Christmas at such 14 inches of snow is what we had, I think. I'm less inclined to gripe than you are, Tom, because I feel like every person in the city wants no, but it's true. Every person in the city wants their corner cleared away. Now, you're saying the storm happened last Wednesday, Thursday, and now they got to it today, but we don't know if they were clearing other corners in other parts of the city for the last 5 days. We just don't know. So I'm less inclined. I'm more inclined to be forgiving, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I feel like I am.
Well, listen, you're a nicer guy than me. Nobody will complain with that. I would say nobody would disagree with that, but I would say clearing a major crosswalk, on Main Street the day after.
Yes.
I might put that. I think that's
might prioritize that a little bit. Besides complaining about snow and potholes and things like that, it's just par for the course of just being a citizen. That's what people do.
That's our job, right?
That's our job.
Warn the city that shit's broken. So there's an app for that, people. I just want to let you know. You had download C-Click Fix. Take a picture of your whatever. It goes right into the city. Sorry, Paul.
That's true.
But yes.
Yeah.
That's a real app.
Yeah.
That is a real app. Also, I was saying, I've worked with this app. You can turn this outwardly facing so the people of Melrose could see what the issues are and when they're resolved, but that's for another show. But in the meantime, what could we do? I know, a nerd show. So obviously, there was a call for an email went out to the Melrose Helps Volunteer Corps to like help a neighbor shovel their sidewalk, which was really great. It would be nice if we did this a million years ago in Boston. You can adopt a hydrant. So you find a hydrant near you and you just make sure it's shoveled out. So when the firefighters come by, they don't have to stop and shovel the hydrant that's outside of your house. And then also just be mindful of your storm drains. It's like a PSA. I'm sorry.
Right.
You need to clear those storm drains or you're going to have other problems.
And there's rain coming. There's rain coming Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So that's going to make the storm drains really critiable.
Yeah. So the next part of this PSA is how to get your neighbors to do it for you. And I'm going to turn this back to Catalini.
I'm not revealing. I'm not ready to reveal those secrets. A long time ago, many years ago in my old neighborhood.
All right, here we go.
Because it's now time for the news. We're moving on.
We have a new segment, right, Jen?
Yeah. So our new segment is for this week because there seem to be a fair number of these things in the news. BFD Melrosians. We noticed a few things here and there. I think top of the list for me would be our co-host Steve Kozella's piece in Commonwealth Magazine about PTSD as a result of the long-term effects of the pandemic and isolation and things like that. It's spoken from experience. Steve is an Iraq vet who has experienced some of this, and it really talks about how we'll have to look out for each other and kind of what to look for and how these things work, like what types of things we might want to look out for in each other, and not to underestimate kind of what people are going through. We're in this for a long time. There's been a lot of isolation, a lot of disruption, a lot of. I mean, I personally have been pretty lucky, but other folks who have been closer to this, or either economically lost jobs, or are suffering from food insecurity, or have lost loved ones, or there's any number of things that could be really hard to get through. So kudos to Steve. Thanks for sharing that. And when we were talking about this in our show meeting, and like I said, I'm lucky. So I realized the story I'm about to tell is like, nothing compared to what others have gone through. But we were listening to music and stuff, the holiday playlists, and trying to figure out what we were going to play last week sometime. The Adam Sandler Hanukkah song came on, right? And it's the live version of that song for me. And I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden you can hear the people are cheering in the background, and all of a sudden I start crying. I'm bawling by myself in the kitchen listening to, and I'm like, what the hell is like that stupid Adam Sandler Hanukkah song? Like what is wrong with me? And I realized that it was the sound of all the people together cheering at this live concert that hit me, and like kind of how much I missed that, and that it just seemed like such a foreign sound to me that I haven't heard in such a long time. So it was just like, I was glad that I sort of put that together quickly and like realized that, because I was like, what is wrong with me? And again, a story, peanuts compared to what other people are dealing with, but it's just a small example of how you don't know what kinds of things are going to hit you, or you're maybe not even thinking about the things that you're missing. It might be sort of buried in the back of your mind somewhere, and it might come up at like some strange time, and think about children who might be dealing with things, and you just never know where it's going to come. So thank you, Steve, for sharing that with all of us. It was helpful.
Yeah, I think that's thanks for sharing that, Jen. And I think a point I took away from the article too was like it's something to be aware of as we return to normal.
Yeah.
So if everybody's vaccinated, you go back to normal, you're still going to have lingering effects. And I've been fortunate by and large in the pandemic as well. But it wasn't until like August that I had my first and maybe only panic dream about the pandemic. And it was like about being in a crowded place and sort of freaking out. But so like that was like months into this, and then who knows coming out the other side of it. But it's it was a nice piece, and it's just good to raise awareness. And I think he's pointing out to the policymakers that like this needs attention too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Who else do we have?
Well, before we move on, I just want to point out a comment that Matt Dugan pointed out, I think accurately, that shampoo is clearly in the pockets of big snowplow.
Yeah.
And so that just adds a new, just when you go back and watch the replay, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
For such a nice guy.
Yeah.
We're totally getting snowed. Oh, I'm on the LeClaire puns tonight.
You are full of them, man.
Oh, just wait. We should also mention, everybody, you really need to tune in till the very end of the show for our very special reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" Melrose edition.
Hang in there. I can't
making
wait to hear
its debut tonight.
I cannot wait. I imagine that people will be buying the pressed version of this on the streets tomorrow. The bootleg copies.
You're going to be talking about me as a BFD Melrosian after this.
Oh, next week you're trying to be a BFD. All right. Well, who's our next BFD Melrosian this week?
So, excuse me. Melrose High School teacher, English teacher Robin Lewald or Lowald. I don't know. I actually don't know her, so I believe it's Lowald. Was featured in the Harvard Education Graduate Magazine. And it's just I think it's like the alumni magazine, and it just was a nice piece about her career and kind of some adjustments that she's had to make as a teacher this year. She teaches 9th grade at MHS, and I pulled out a quote. She talks about having to make adjustments moving to teaching online, and her biggest concern was continued engagement with her students and having to learn how to engage with them differently. And you don't have command over an entire classroom, in front of you anymore. You have to really reach students one-on-one by video, individually. And she also, going back to kind of some of the ideas in Steve's piece, she doesn't know what her students are going through. Everybody's home situation is different. So she really needed to kind of try to connect with them one-on-one. Their learning needs were going to be different. Their emotional needs, their needs at home were going to be different. And so she turned to choice. She thought, this is great. I can't expect the same things for my students right now. We're not all going to read Macbeth and have them write essays on Macbeth. She was like, I don't even want to grade all those. So she started talking about giving them choice and creating a syllabus where they had a variety of choices of things that they could read and ways that they could turn in assignments and ways that they could engage in different types of pieces they could write, etc. And she said this is a quote, student engagement increased drastically when students were given agency over their own learning. And I just thought, why are we not doing that all the time? Yes, right. Exactly. So that was a cool piece. So kudos to her.
Oh, that's good.
I think we've talked about this earlier and often, but I think and allowing for options and choices, so people feel like they have control, a little bit of control over how their education goes, or anyway. Hopefully we'll be able to have some options when we return.
Yeah, realize where that worked. I agree. Yeah. And then last but not, well, maybe it's not last, but also these are a lot of education things. Also in education, our friend Niall Fuentes received the DESE, which is Department of Early and Secondary Education 2020 Mitchell Chester Award. And I have to say, so congratulations, Niall. Sam, you might have to help me out on this one, because I looked that up and there's no information. So I can't say that I even know what that is, but a quote from Rebecca, his wife who posted it, said, he's watching out for the interests of some of his highest need students. So I don't know what the Mitchell Chester Award is, but congratulations, Niall.
It's a big deal. Yep.
It's a BFD.
BFD to a well-deserved dude.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Are we moving on?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing we talked about before, we were trying to get in the holiday spirit, the Christmas spirit. And so we talked about the big "'Twas the Night Before Christmas in Melrose." But before we get to that, we have started and shared on Spotify for Melrosians the world over the LTMM Christmas playlist now on Spotify. We've each added a few songs, and we tried to be selective. So we held back and added just a few, and we invite you to add yours. And we thought that's a fun thing to share because I'm always finding out about, new songs I didn't know about or new ways to look at it. And so one of mine that I thought I would share is from Cyndi Lauper, and it's a song called "Feels Like Christmas," and it's just we'll give you 20 seconds of it here. It's just from you back to basics, right? See if we can. See if this plays.
Don't matter if we lived in a shack or in a shiny Cadillac. It don't matter what you're for when love is knocking at your door. It feels like Christmas, just like Christmas. It feels like Christmas with you.
Right, it doesn't matter if we're in a shack or a shiny Cadillac. As long as I'm with you, it feels like Christmas. So just back to basics, just enjoying it. And I love Cyndi Lauper as an artist, as a performer. She does this live. She plays the recorder. She's got the washboard on her chest. And it's like she's just such a talented musician. So that was my pick. And that was the first one I added to the list.
Cool. I love her too. Good one. What do you guys have?
Sam, when you want, please.
Oh, thank you. So I just want to also mention that fan of the show, Rosemary Sinella, is also recommending Silver Bells.
Okay.
Any version of Silver Bells, she says.
Any version. That is a nice song.
And Craig Mulway, another super fan of the show,
Yep.
Sent us one. I forgot, it was Hamildolf.
Hamildolf.
So it's a parody of Hamilton.
Oh, awesome.
I'll put it in the.
And Rudolph, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool. We try to find new ones every year to add to our list, and so this will be helpful.
So my favorite is one that, regardless of where our holiday mood happens to be at that moment in time, because it ebbs and flows,
Sure.
I can play Jackson 5 Up on the Housetop at any point in time, and it just makes everything better.
All right, let's hear 20 seconds of
hear
it now.
Did you read Santa Claus my list?
Of the girls you're waiting to kiss.
Mine, that list was only a joke.
Too late, Jermaine, he's bringing you mistletoe.
Bet you just want toys and stuff.
Yeah, but that's not even half enough. But I want these more than fun.
What's that?
Love and peace for everyone. Up for the rooftop, reindeer's been waiting for that dear old man.
All right, I love that.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We've got some top fan comments too. I heard this one this morning while we were outside. Thanks, Bill Butler, for "Big Bulbs" by Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Oh, Sharon Jones is awesome.
Eugenia, hey Eugenia, says Bing Crosby and David Bowie, of course. And I would add to that, there's also a version of that song by Jason Segel and Jack Black that's phenomenal.
Oh wow.
Michelle Carson, Fairy Tale of New York. Don't know that one. Oh, Matt Dugan. Yeah, you guys can all add them to our playlist yourselves too.
Backdoor Santa is already on the list, actually.
On there, Dugan.
You're not.
That's funny.
All right, Tom Schiff.
Yeah, I like the Eagles. I'm a fan of the Eagles. I think Don Henley has one of the classic voices in rock and roll. I love it. So I had to pick "Please Come Home for Christmas" by the Eagles. It's a song similar to others that I can listen to it often, and I do, and it's a great song. So.
Silent night, Christmas carol by candlelight. Please come home for Christmas. Please come home for Christmas.
Oh, that's a good slow dance Christmas song.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
The lights come down and the Eagles come up.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, Michelle, let's see. Michelle also says it was Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank. Can't say that I know that one.
Well, yeah, hold on. Wait. Eugenia Gibbons is saying it's because you look like Don. I have not heard that before, but I'm not sure it's either true.
It's different hair, right? Anyway,
so I picked. So I have my Christmas playlist is like just hundreds of songs long. It's and I like everything from Handel's Messiah to Curtis Blow and Run DMC Christmas songs. So it's hard for me to pick a song. So I instead wanted to share with you guys. There are some Christmas albums that I think I have the whole album on my playlist, and it's mostly like takes. So here they are. Yeah. So Christmas Rappin' is one of my all-time favorites. It's just a debaucherous, like late 80s hip hop version of all your favorite tunes. And it's hysterical. It's how we sort of kick off Christmas in my family every year with that. The Lou Rawls Christmas album is phenomenal. And then I'm going to go backwards on these. The Ventures Christmas album. My husband found this one. It's all like surf guitar versions of all the Christmas songs. And so you just play that. So you recognize the songs, but kind of played differently. And then the same is true for Dixieland Christmas. It's like New Orleans versions of all things that you would recognize, and lots of horns, and it just sounds so cool. And I think you have a sample of one of those, Tom.
Was it on the list? Because I don't, or did I have?
Oh, really? It didn't make it. I thought I put him on there. So I'll add it to the Spotify list. I thought I had already put it on there, but yeah, Dixieland Christmas. It's fantastic. It's so much fun, and it's all songs you'll recognize. But
we have like 20 songs on here already, so just keep adding them.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a great playlist, and we'll keep it up there. All right, moving on.
We are.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so listening.
Feels like New Orleans.
Isn't it fun?
Orleans.
The whole album's like that, so it's great. It's really nice. It's really nice. So all right, guys, it's after 9.
It's that time.
I have a special treat for you guys and for all Melrosians everywhere. I wrote this the other day, but first I want to say thanks for joining us these last few weeks. Tune in next week and help us crowdsource some New Year's resolutions for the city of Melrose for 2021. We'll do that next week. But tonight we're gonna finish, and I want to leave you guys with, if you're familiar with the poem, "A Visit from St. Nicholas," apparently is its technical name, but better known as "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," by Clement Clarke Moore. I also just learned too that that's actually disputed, but this was written in December 1823. So tonight's version is written December 2020 by Jen LeClaire. For all of you guys. So you ready? Okay. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the rows our drinks we were stirring, prepping the show. The stockings were hung by the chimney with clips in the hopes that St. Nicholas would fill them with nips. Melrosians were nestled all snug in their beds while visions of LTMM danced in their heads. Sam and Jen in their kerchiefs and the Toms in their caps had just logged on to the city council meeting with a winter nightcap. When out in the parklet there arose such a clatter, we sprang from the Zoom to see what was the matter. Away to windows we flew like a flash to see what Karaji wrote in the patch. The plows and their piles of new fallen snow left no fun Finn on his bicycle with nowhere to go. When what to our wondering eyes should appear, scenes of dear Melrose, some foggy, some clear. The kindness punch must be hitting me quick. I thought for a moment it must be a trick. More rapid than the rising eagle once you get your spoon, Sam whistled, Tom air-horned, and they roll called the room. Now Sinella, now Grigoritis, now McMaster, Stewart, Migliorelli, on Eccles, on Garapay, on Jamaluddin, McNaught, Thomas, and Tremontosi. From 99 Washington to Corinthian Hall, vote beer garden, beer garden, beer gardens for all.
Yeah!
As the band Christmas trees out the lot they did fly, Lauren G. implored us to shop local and buy. So up to Buckaloo's the shoppers they flew, to buy a sleigh full of gifts and wine in a can, too. Beacon Hill wine, how it twinkles, and Turner's, how merry. People buying their roses at affairs and Pepperberry. And then in a twinkling of BT's keyboard, I heard on my stoop the prancing and singing of Bill Butler, the scoop. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down my chimney came Tomcat with a bound. He was dressed all in plaid from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with follow your art chalk dust and soot. A guitar and an air horn he had flung on his back, and a book full of dad jokes he pulled from his pack. Hourglass packages for Linda drawn up with a bow. Kathy Vines saving us with the facts we don't know. Top fans tuning in, Hammer, Dugan, BT, garden remedies encircling our heads like a wreath. Mike Miner brought LTMM to the telly, and Sam's yay gives us joy down deep in our belly. Mary Beth and Stephanie, those right jolly old elves, brought kindness to Melrose in spite of ourselves. Dr. Kuchenberger shepherds us through the school year from hell, while Mr. Merrill reminds us to keep each other well. With my takeout charcuterie, hummus, and bread, Tapas 529 gave me to know I had nothing to dread. Rep. Kate Lipper G helped folks get to work when she told the MBTA to not be a jerk. So keep those masks up over your nose. We're getting vaccines to Kim and our healthcare heroes. Mayor Broder led us through one hell of a year, and he did it with a smile, fun socks, and good cheer. Zoom bombers came when Tom Shampoo gave a whistle, and Eugenia and Steve flew in like the down of a thistle. Then I heard Tomcat exclaim as LTMM fans boogied down, "Happy holidays to all, and we'll see you around town."
Hey, look at that, man.
That's it. We'll see you, Melrose.